Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from All for Metal, Gods of Metal, out August 23rd on Reigning Phoenix Music. The album has 12 tracks, 41 minutes in length, and this is the band's second full-length studio album. They are a German-Italian heavy metal band. As far as the design goes, I have to start off by mentioning the intro and outro. It's not every day that you're going to hear me talk about an intro and outro as far as an album review is concerned, but on this record I feel like they play a very important role, not only to set up the album, but to really give the record these two bookends that allow the overall concept, the overall idea of the album to come to life with the songs that are built within. Now, the intro is important because it sets the tone, it sets the table from a storytelling point of view. It really helps the listener find its way through the rest of the album. And the outro is really interesting because while giving a sense of finality to the record, it also opens the door to what a future album could be all about. So it's two songs that have an incredible importance, not from what they offer musically, but from what they offer as far as the overall setup, concept, idea, and construction of this album. A great album that has a lot of ebbs and flows as far as the design is concerned. Very dynamic, very engaging, very captivating, and all of that brings not only the quality of the individual tracks to the surface, but it gives quality to the overall album and to the overall idea behind this record. Now, as far as sound is concerned, this is at times a classic heavy metal sounding record, but just with a more modern production. And while I enjoy that more modern production because it makes the record feel slightly bigger, it gives a little bit more impact, it makes everything a little bit more crisp, a little bit more clean. In this case, at times, it also takes a little bit of the impact away from the guitars. I like the guitar sound on this album. I just wanted the guitar sound to have a more predominant role, to be a little bit more consistent into the forefront, to be more of a driving force and almost separate itself from the rest of the sound, from the rest of the pack. That happens, but it happens more in the solos. So the solos really feel like they're breaking away from the tracks, and they feel like they're giving a little bit of a spotlight to what the guitar playing overall is all about on this record. But it's not enough, because even in the solos, there was a lack of intensity. There was a lack of size at times. They felt explosive but narrow in terms of having some boundaries and not being completely free, not allowing that guitar sound to almost dissipate into the oblivion. And I think having that sort of approach, having a more less boxed in approach for what the guitars could sound like or could feel like, would increase the size of the album and increase the size of the overall sound without taking anything away from the production, and definitely without taking anything away from that more classic heavy metal sound. If anything, would actually work towards it. So that to me is the one factor that I feel it's slightly lacking for as good as the overall sound on this album is, because it is a great sounding record. It has a lot of energy, a lot of movement. The drums sound phenomenal. The drums have so much thickness, so much depth, impact, and that bigger sound. In some of the heavier tracks, the drums definitely push that heaviness into the forefront and separate themselves from the rest of the sound, from the rest of the pack. Something like I said, I wish the guitars did that more often throughout the entire record. So you're getting that from the drums, and that allows you to really see and allows them to really shine and give themselves a little bit of a platform throughout this entire album. Another aspect of the sound on this record that I enjoyed are more of the samples and bringing in some elements, either be folky or otherwise, that integrate themselves in the songs and help to paint a better picture of what the track is all about. And a good example of that is Ear of the Dragon. It's a song that obviously has a samurai essence to it, so bringing in folk, Japanese folk influences into the sound helps define the track, helps define the storytelling of the song, and you're going to find that throughout the entire record. And I think that's an important aspect. It's definitely an important aspect in terms of developing the lyrics, developing the story that's being told within those lyrics, and giving identity and character to the individual songs, and giving quality to the overall sound experience. Now, once you get into the vocals, three things to say about the vocals. One is I enjoy the narrator that they had throughout, not just in the intro and the outro, but in certain key songs like like Thor and Loki, for example, I felt like the narrator didn't get in the way of the songs. It actually, once again, like the folk elements in the sound, the narrator really helps develop the story and make it a lot more palpable for the listener, so it's easy to get into what's happening in these songs. And then outside of the narrator, you obviously have this duality of clean vocals with Antonio and Tetzel with the harsh vocals. And I thought on this album, both of them were phenomenal. They sounded phenomenal. Antonio felt, at least to me, a little bit more loose, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more at ease with his environment, and that allowed for a more impactful performance. I felt like his range was incredible. His dynamics, the tonality, the delivery. He had a great impact on every single song. He had so much energy to the tracks, and even songs that don't have necessarily a great tempo, when it gets to the chorus, he's always able to infuse energy and light and brightness to the way the songs come across. And then Tetzel with his harsh vocals, he brings the mood down, but he also adds heaviness to the songs. So even if musically the track is not super heavy, just his vocal delivery alone adds size and volume and heaviness to the way the song is presented and to the way the song is coming across. The dynamics between the two were perfect, having some songs with more of one, less of the other, then having songs which is really duets at the end of the day. So there's a lot to digest vocally on this record. It's an album that's perhaps as dynamic vocally as it is musically, and that obviously plays really well into the overall idea, into the overall delivery of this album, which I think is not just a step up. I mean, this is a leap forward from their debut record. This album is better crafted. There's still room for improvement. I really think the guitar sound on this record could have been more impactful, more in the forefront, because they have two amazing guitar players, and I think they should have taken more advantage of that and have it a little bit more showcased throughout the entire album. But outside of that, this is definitely a much better record. It's a better defined album with a better design, better structure, better delivery, better lyrics. Vocal performances are on point. So it's really hard to just analyze this album and just look at it from one angle. You have to look at it from the overall big picture of what it delivers. And it delivers a lot of hooks, a lot of catchy songs. It's a more memorable record. It still has its hint of cheese in it, but overall it feels like a more polished body of work all around. So it's definitely a leap forward from what their debut album had offered to all of us. Now, as far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Ear of the Dragon, a song that I touched upon already, a track that has that Japanese folk influence in it, and that plays an important role in terms of the atmosphere, in terms of the story that it's telling, more so than anything else, and it really helps define it. So it's important from that standpoint. The chorus is amazing. Vocally, it's a super strong song with a lot of layers. Musically is very impactful as well. I like the dynamic that it has. It's not a song that's super fluid. It's not a song that's super dynamic. It doesn't have a high tempo, but it's a track that uses the vocals to create the ebbs and flows that perhaps are not there musically. You have the harsh vocals in the verses, the clean vocals in the pre-chorus and chorus. That creates this up and down, this peak and valley that's really important in order to give energy to the song. And then talk about giving energy to the song and a platform to the guitars. The solo section on this track is phenomenal. It really feels explosive. It definitely breaks away from the rest of the track, and it's an important element to showcase how good the guitar sound is, how good the performance and the execution is as well. Next we have When Monsters Roar. This is definitely a track that has more movement. Now, the interesting thing about this song, and the reason why I picked it, is because when this song starts, and even throughout the track, there's a portion of the melody of this track that sound to me, and especially when the song starts, like Painted Black by the Rolling Stones. It's really hard to not notice it, but having that hint of Painted Black on this song makes the song super hooky and super catchy and super memorable. That's the reason why I pick it as my top 3, because every time I hear this song, I think of that track, but it works really well in the format, in the construct that this song delivers. The drums are massive in the chorus, super heavy, super thick, really breaking away from the rest of the sound. The vocals soar. The clean vocals on this track are over the moon, are through the roof, really impactful, super dynamic. And I love the dynamic between both vocalists, because this track At times it has this great energy that it's being tagged along by what both of them can offer to the song. But it's a track that, from a vocal standpoint, the harsh vocals help set up how high the clean vocals can go. They really help raise up the performance, but also the impact of those clean vocals. It's a great track from that standpoint. The guitars are melodic, but they have a little bit of heaviness towards the bitter end of their sound. So I really like the impact on the guitars here. They carved a little bit of a niche from themselves, not completely separating themselves from the sound, but carving themselves a little bit of more room. Last but not least, I also mentioned this song, like Thor and Loki. This is, from a vocal standpoint, is more of a duet. I love the fact that they also find a way to include a narrator on this track to talk a little bit about the story of Loki, of Loki and Thor. So I like that dynamic, because now you're adding three types of vocals to one single track: narrator, clean vocals, harsh vocals. So it makes it for a very vocal centric song all around. It's a fun track. It has brightness in the sound, but it really comes down to the storytelling aspect and using those three styles of vocals to better paint the picture and to better tell the story. This is it. All for Metal, Gods of Metal, out August 23rd on Reigning Phoenix Music. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Hit me up in the comment section. I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.